used to write for the Statesman Journal for about 6.5 years, and I had a column on organizing. And then I decided it was time to write a book. And so I published my book in June of 2012 and have been having a good time just going out and promoting it. And it's called From Frazzled to Freedom. I have a blended family, and my husband and I have 5 teenagers between us, ages 13, 16, 17, and 2 19-year-olds. So I describe my house as organized chaos. And so, it's just very important, though, for me to be able to be organized in order to be able to work full-time, do writing, and be able to have a family. And I love what I do, and I'm very passionate about being an organizer. So today I thought, just as we're getting the kids back to school, a really good topic today would be, how to get our kids back, or grandkids back into a good school routine. And I think that there's just some key things I think we can do to make our jobs easier as parents for our kids transitioning from back to school to home. And the first thing I would recommend is to find a place where your child's backpack can be placed. One thing I found through the years, I used to think you always have to have a rack for backpacks. And then I realized that, especially in middle school through high school and college, that backpacks can be very heavy. So to put them on a rack is probably not the best idea. So I would recommend a rack for mainly probably kindergarten up through grade school, because the rack can take the weight. And then with kids that are older, just come up with a designated place for a backpack. So when they get home, it's just not like in the middle of the living room floor, or it's a place where other people can trip on it. And so it's best to find a place for a backpack where they're doing their homework. So for example, if your child does their homework in the dining room, place the backpack close to the dining room area. So again, just to look for placement for where they're going to be doing their homework. And next is shoes. Shoes really, I've noticed as I've been a professional organizer, that shoes vary from family to family in terms of how they store them. Some families, they don't even store their shoes in closets, in bedroom closets. They actually store them like in a mudroom or in a hall closet. So I recommend that if you do have the storage in your bedroom, that's really the best place to store shoes. And so store especially off-season shoes in the bedroom. And if you do want to have your shoes more accessible on a main floor, then only store shoes that are in the current season. So for now, we're in the fall-winter season. So, again, bring down the fall-winter shoes, and then look for places for storage. So again, they're not in one place. So there's a lot of organizers available right now where you could have baskets for each child set up. Each family member. Oftentimes you'll see baskets stored underneath an ottoman or some kind of a chair. So again, that would just recommend that if you do store your shoes in other places, that you actually have them contained and you have the right size of container or organizer for those shoes. Kids' paperwork is definitely something that I think is important for us to come up with systems to make it easier for our child. I think that for me, my kids come home from school and they bring home permission slips and maybe school pictures or things that I need to act on, either write a check or I need to sign something. So when they get home, I ask them immediately, is there anything that I need to sign or to deal with? And if I do, you need to put it on my office desk. Well, the thing about my office desk, it's generally clean. And so you need to find, if you don't have a clean area, find a clean space or a decluttered space where that you will go frequently enough to see these items and that the child knows, so that way you won't be missing important things. Also, when you do get paper back, look at things that have deadlines on it, and then right away transfer those deadlines onto your calendar or phone. And so then you can get rid of the paper right away. So, for example, we get newsletters from different schools. Some are online and some of them are printed. So, as I'm reading through, I get my calendar out and then write different events. Whether it be open house at the school or whether it be a school dance or whatever. So anything that has a date attached. Another thing in kids' paperwork that you'll likely find is artwork, and artwork is, especially with grade school children, it just hatches and has babies. They bring home so much, and so much of it is just so precious, and you just feel like, compelled to say it all because, it's made specially, for somebody. So what I like to do with artwork is I like to be able to place artwork like on magnets on the refrigerator. So like the first week after you go through their clump of paperwork, because they normally will send it home once a week. So you get that weekly paperwork back from the school, take the artwork, post it for a week. And then after that week, you can decide to keep it, or else you can decide to recycle it. And then the next week, showcase the artwork and put it up. The kind of things that you can do, though, so then what do you do with the paper artwork that you are keeping is I suggest having somewhere that's convenient to put it, and then maybe have like a tote or some kind of bin that artwork automatically goes to. And what I call that is like a memory box. And then maybe each quarter of school or at the end of the school year, or you probably have to do it 2 or 3 times a year to go through it and figure out what the best of the best is in terms of artwork. And the things that I like to look for are really the creative things. What kind of thing did this child maybe take extra time on? What represents them? And it may be just like a special sentence of something that they said, and that was just very memorable, or a special memory, and you really want to capture that. They keep those things. So really look at those things where the child has spent that extra time with, and even go through with them to say, gosh, Alexa, what is your favorite piece of art here and why? And again, the child can also help you determine what was important to them. So again, it can be a collaborative effort. One thing with artwork too is it varies in size. Sometimes the kids bring home something like this big, and sometimes they bring something small. Well, you could go to an art store, probably locally in town. I would recommend places like Michael's or the Craft Warehouse. Those are great for portfolio holders. And again, they come in different sizes, and then they have handles on it, and those would be easy to put behind something or in between, like a desk and a wall, to be able to put their important pieces of larger artwork in. Again, to go through it, I think 2 or 3 times a year. It's also nice occasionally to give the artwork away to maybe a special neighbor, or to a grandparent, or maybe if you have a blended family, and let's say the child lives with a mom, and dad doesn't get to see artwork very much. Well, maybe occasionally, send him with some of this artwork so that he gets a chance to be able to see it and enjoy it too. So again, this is just a good ways to to deal with the backlog that it's easy to get. Just some other things to keep in mind is how do you keep the morning routine flowing for the child? And I am really adamant on this, and I've seen this over and over through the years in working with my clients and making their morning routines easier for their children and themselves. And there's one big key, is to get dressed and ready before the child does. One thing I found is that I have seen it where, the mom is not ready when the child is ready for school. And they're upset, they're yelling, they're stressed out because they're trying to get themselves ready. And so they can't even be attentive to the child because they aren't ready themselves. And so if you get yourself ready before the child, then really that you can focus on their needs. And so this may be changing a habit, which it takes a while to change a habit. So, I would give yourself 30 days. So if you're used to going to bed maybe at 11 or 12, during the school year, you might want to bring it down to maybe, 10 or 10:30 or 9:30, just to be able to get that extra sleep in order to be able to have that time in the morning to get ready. But try it. If you haven't tried it, if you find yourself really stressed out in the mornings, I would really encourage you to, again, get ready before the child, and you will see the difference in terms of your stress level in the morning and the stress level of your children, because it kind of goes with the saying goes, if mom is not happy, nobody's happy. So again, you set the tone of the house. So if you can get yourself together, it really helps. Another key is organizing lunches the night before. So you want to do is decide what your child wants to do in terms of lunches, and make sure that you have food available and ready for them to pack if they decide to pack lunches. And for now, I have my children are a little bit older. I've got one in college, and I've got one in high school, and then one in junior high. Well, the junior high, or middle school, they call it right these days, she has a combination. Sometimes she likes to take lunch, and other times that she wants to she has lunch at school. So I just talk to her and figure out what she wants to do. But I make sure that again, that I know what's going on. She has enough money in her account to be able to have, so she's not at school with not the money. So she has the money to be able to afford the lunch if she decides to purchase at school. And then also have the things available for her at the house that she needs. The fruits and vegetables that you want them to pack, hopefully, and some other stuff too, to make sure that your house is stocked up with those things they might need for their lunch. Again, I think that any time that they can plan their clothes ahead of time, that's really helpful. My daughter likes to plan, which my youngest daughter, I think is great. She plans all of her clothes for the whole week. And wow, that is so great. So then I don't have to stress out in the morning, or she doesn't have to stress out about, Mom, this doesn't fit, or I don't like how this looks. But she's already kind of tested and tried these clothes. And so I think, again, that's really helpful. The shower and bath situation, I think, is really nice, if at all. Most parents get ready in the morning and shower and all that. And so if you could have the children do it the night before, again, that really helps in a couple ways. It helps where they're not using that same hot water, so you have more hot water in the morning, which is really nice. But another thing it does help with is also that that is one less thing they have to worry about in the morning. Again, just to provide less stress. And in the mornings, if at all possible, if you find that the kids are not staying on schedule, they're waking up late, they're not staying on task, and you're constantly having to remind them about getting ready and doing things, is limit if you find that their like their cell phone or other electronic devices are distracting them, is really limit that, or say, what, in the mornings, I really don't want you on your, just take away the phones, or have them set their phones aside, or whatever it might be in the morning, so that way you they don't have that extra distraction to deal with. So again, if you find that your child is being distracted by those things, or maybe just watching TV in the mornings, limit those distractions for them. And I think that the most important thing is really is to keep the same routine. That children and adults alike, we thrive on routine. And the more routine that you have, the better. And then the kids know what to expect. You know what to expect out of them. And that helps everybody. So again, routines, going to bed at the same time when possible, doing the homework at a certain time, anything you can do to provide a routine. It will also just help your kids feel more secure and comfortable in their environment. So I think that's helpful. So any questions or any additional things that the audience maybe has found helpful in their back to school routine?
Do you have any tips on making dinner time less stressful?
Yes, I know dinner time can be really stressful, and especially if you're a working mom. I subscribe to a meal planning service. It's called Hot Meals, HIUTZ meals.com, HIUTEMEALZ.com. And for me, I love it. It's only $5 a month. And they have, you can select different kinds of meal plans. You can select one for like diabetic, gluten-free, which is pretty awesome, light and healthy, which we do, and then traditional meals. And then you also can print out or you can also plug in the numbers of how many people that you want to feed. So you can input like 4 or 6 or 8 people, and then your recipes will have that those amounts figured out. And then they send me on Fridays my my menus and my shopping list, and then I print them out. And on Saturdays and then Sunday afternoons, I do all my meal planning and shopping, and that like has just been my lifesaver. I love crockpot cooking too. I think crockpot's great, and really pick a day on the weekend, like a couple hours or hour on the weekend, to consistently to do meal planning, and it will make your whole week easier. Any other questions?
Well, I think we've enjoyed listening to you, Julie.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And